everybody, it's EK from EK Gorman Designs, and I am sneaking in today to do 5 fast cards featuring the August subscription code from White Rose Crafts. Before I get started, I wanted to show you this die. When I did my unboxing, I didn't have the die yet. It's in, this is it, it's from Do Crafts, it's an anchor, it goes perfectly with the kit, and we're on to card 1. I'm starting off with one of the coordinating cards and envelope sets, and a piece of the peon paper from this month's subscription kit, and adhering it down to the pre-folded card that came in the kit. And then I'm going to do a little stamping. I love this frame stamp. It just wasn't big enough. Like, I wanted it to cover the whole piece of paper. So I pulled out my stamping platform and just stamped the top of it. I left the bottom undone and then slid my card up to extend the whole line and make the card as big as I wanted it to be. Easy peasy lemon squeezy, as my daughter would say, to have the stamp fill the frame as I wanted it to. And then I took one of the 3-dimensional sparkly shells from the kit, covered the bit of stamping on the bottom, covered it, and then stamped out the sentiment from the the Prima. Sorry, this is the Prima stamp set. And I just used a little bit of Distress Oxide to do it. I was going to leave the card here, but the more I kept staring at it, the more I realized, like, it's a little boring. I could do more. So I pulled out some Post-it notes. Post-it notes, by the way, are some of the greatest masking tools ever. You just don't feel all that guilty using them like you do some of the more expensive masking tapes. Post-its are great for projects, especially ones that are square like this. And then I took it could be coral. It looks like, I don't know, it's a cute little stamp. I'm guessing coral because it's an ocean themed. I did some second generation stamping because I didn't want it to be too blatant. And the brown ink from Scrapberry, the pigment ink, is incredibly pigmented. And since there's a matching envelope, I figured, hey, why not? See how pigmented that is if it's just first generation stamping. So I coordinated the envelope to go with the stamp, which I don't normally do, and I kind of feel I should. Like, that came out really, really cute. Card 1, done. Card 2. Again, taking some of the Peon 6x6 paper, trimming it down, and putting it onto, this time, a card frame that I provided. That's really, everything I use is more or less from the kit, with the exception of some card frame, some adhesive, and this piece of watercolor paper. I pulled out this is a really cheap piece of watercolor paper. This isn't anything fancy. And used the Wink of Stella brush that comes in this month's kit. It's this lovely, it's really a gorgeous blue. And I faded the blue down, trying to get an ombre effect, so the base would be really a bright blue, and as you'd go up, it kind of fade into white. And it worked for the most part. The line didn't work, but I was able to, again, use just a water brush and kind of pull that line down and make it more seamless. I've never owned a colored Wink of Stella until now, and I love all the things you can potentially do with it, including some of this sparkly watercoloring. I have never sparkly watercolored in my life until this moment, and it was cool. I trimmed the watercolor paper down, and I wish I could tell you the dimensions, but I don't remember. But I trimmed it down so it would fit, it would be a nice square around the felt frame that comes in this month's kit. And I stamped out, again, in the Scrapberry brown ink, the really detailed and intricate boat. I didn't think that stamp would come out that good, and it does. So this is some of my adhesive, and I love this stuff when it comes to gluing fabric. It is tacky, it gives you a little time to wiggle, it works nicely. Now, I'm gonna tell you the truth. I wish I kind of left the card with just the boat on and skipped the sentiment paper. This is from the toppers that come in the kit, and a bit of scrap paper left over from my first card. I don't know. I don't think it works. I think if I'd put the boat up a little bit higher, like if I'd gone up 1/2 centimeter, it would work, but everything's just too close. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm being a big baby. Sometimes I'm a big baby. I don't like how this. I like the idea of this one. Excuse me, my phone is making noises at me. I really like the idea of this one, and I think if the boat rolled up a little bit, I'd love this card. I do, however, love the distressing effect I ended up, because again, I didn't like the card. I'm sitting there staring at it going, I don't like this. This isn't God. And I started rolling the corners and distressing the edges. And in the distressing of the edges, something about the card started working for me. I pulled out, again, this is not in the kit, this is one of mine, but my Distress Frayed Burlap Tim Holtz marker and just kind of outlined the sentiment just to help it ground into the paper behind it. And there you go, card 2. Here's card 3. This is not really a fast card. I want to claim it's a fast card, but it's not. I took the piece of peon paper and matched it up completely to a card frame, and then took some heavy stock white cardstock and die cut the anchor out a whole bunch, as you can see. But I wanted to put back in some of the what was cut out, but it takes, because they're so small, it takes a long time, so I only did it with one, because again, this is supposed to be fast cards. But it worked. I think it worked. And then I made a little sentiment banner. I wish I'd backed this in a deeper color. In hindsight is such a beautiful thing. But yeah, no, I thought this was fun, and I like how just one of the anchors has the little pieces added back in. Nothing real fancy about the card unless you call the die cutting and putting back in those pieces. Here we go, card 4. Again, a piece of 6x6 peon paper trimmed down. This time on a card frame that I own. This one fits the card frame perfectly. Here's another one of the toppers. This one has cute little dolphins on the top. And see, I learned from my original mistake and made this one go a lot higher. So this way, the spacing between everything works. Again, I'm taking my really, really, really tacky glue. I mean, this stuff is monstrously tacky and thick, and yeah. And I'm pouring on this month's Sparkle Blend sequins onto it to create an ocean effect. And the little bald spots, I just kind of poked in little pieces to make it work. See how that kind of looks like the ocean? And then using one of the metal bits from this month's kit, ta-da! It's a seriously super easy card, and it's really cool looking. Or at least I think it's real cool. I guess that not everybody would agree with me, but I like it. Here's the 5th and final card from Fast 5 Cards for this month's subscription kit. Here's another piece of watercolor paper, and I pulled out some Distress Oxides. I just recently got the Distress brushes, and I might be in love. I am not the world's best blender. Actually, I am not a good blender. I'm a terrible blender. But I kind of am obsessed with the brushes because they make blending really, really seamlessly easy, or at least for me. Yeah. Threw on a little spritz of water, and now we've got a nice little sand effect going on the piece of water scrap paper I've got. I adhered it to the card. See, nothing fancy this month. This one's kit's, though, really, really fun. I didn't adhere it to the card. I forgot I did this. So there's some crepe paper. Crepe paper? Is that raffia? Raffia. Maybe it's called raffia. In this month's kit. I don't use raffia. I don't know. I am not one of the really, really cool people in this world who can, like, layer stuff. Not me. I'm a color person. And you'll notice there's no Copic markers used in today's video. Aren't you proud of me? But I thought it might be really, really fun effect to take this raffia and use it like fringe at the bottom of the card. And the cool thing about this is, I didn't know it because I don't use raffia, but it's actually folded. It's kind of like folded and pressed into itself. So once you adhere it to the tape, you can actually unfurl it a little bit and have some real movement. Like, I guess is why I keep thinking crepe paper, like crepe paper from the bottom of the card. So yeah, something I didn't know. Very, very, very pleased with the effect that came out of the card. I'm guessing nobody actually wanted to watch my fingers unfurl the raffia, but I find it sadly soothing. Yes, one piece unfurled a little too much, so I taped back down the edge, and I had a little bit, teeny tiny piece left over from what I trimmed off of what I got in the kit, and I open it up, and look, it's a nice little square. So I decided to use it. Here is the anchor from 2 cards ago. I decided to, heat emboss it. Use some embossing powder and heat emboss it gold. This is the Rangers Superfine Gold. This might be antique gold. I don't know. I've had it forever. As you can tell, it lives in a Tupperware, and I no longer own the jar. I think it's Superfine Gold. And heat emboss the anchor. Again, super easy, and yet the anchor is so detailed with its cutouts that it's really cool. A little bit of score tape onto that bit of raffia, and I left it so the edges would roll up. Pulled out my glossy accents. I have like 4 tubes of glossy accents. I keep getting them because I keep losing a tube, and then I find the tube as soon as I buy a new one. So I have like 4 tubes of glossy accent laying around the house. I pulled out my mounting pads from Woodware. I love these itty bitty teeny. I probably should have gone with a thicker pad for this card, but I love those teeny tiny ones. They're so effective on tiny little pieces you want to pop up. And because the watercolor paper is a little thicker, it kind of held its own. I originally kind of wanted to put the wood piece on, didn't, and I left the cinnamon off. And I'm happy with leaving it off. I think it has a nice fun effect for the card. Anyway, that's 5 fast cards today. Tune back in because I will have 5 more fast cards. Go ahead and pre-order your August subscription kit now. It will sell out before you know it. It will start shipping on the 1st of August. Thanks for tuning in. Want to subscribe and see more? Hit the dragon. That will subscribe you to my channel. Give me a thumbs up if you're enjoying what you're seeing, and I'll know to make more of it. Bye, guys.